If you guys are tired of losing off spawn fights leading to half of your tournament games being off spawn deaths, meaning you can't qualify, then watch this video. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to master off spawn fighting. I'm going to show you guys how to make a drop map, the 3 advantages it takes to win every off spawn fight no matter where you land, and how to fight with those advantages. I'm also going to be showing you guys pros using those advantages so you can get an in-game example and see what I'm talking about. This is the first episode in my series called Path to Pro, where if you follow each video step by step, you and your duo will have the best year of competitive Fortnite. Starting us off, let's talk about drop maps. If you don't know what a drop map is, they are the most important thing when it comes to off spawns. A drop map basically shows you exactly where to deploy your glider to get the best glide to land exactly where you want to in the off spawn fight. Every single pro in the game uses drop maps. They take them to the lands, they take them to the global championships. Even at the 2022 Invitational, Fredoxy made his drop map his mouse pad. They are so very crucial, so that's why I'm going to show you guys how to get a drop map. All you guys have to do is go to your browser and type in droppingcalc.com. I will have a link in the description. When you load in, you'll see a bunch of pins. You can zoom in to get a closer look. All of these pins are for where the drop maps are made for you to land. So if we take my drop spot, for example, Kappa Kappa Factory, the best place to land is this building right here. There's a chest spawn on the roof. You can rotate over. You can get fast mats back here. All of these are very important things. While this is the paid version, later in the video I'll be showing you guys how to make your own drop map. But before we get to that, let me show you this. You click on the pin and you go open drop map. It's going to show you a bunch of pins all around the map. You guys can take this, I do not care. All of these pins indicate where you want to deploy your glider to get the best glide onto this chest right here. Later in the video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make something just like this but for completely free. But if you are going to buy a drop map, I suggest you guys buy a dropping calculator. To see what that looks like, I'm going to press this green pin and go to open dropping calc. All you guys have to do once you purchase it is put in the bus path, however the bus path may be, then press calculate. It's going to show you guys exactly where to jump from the bus and exactly where to deploy your glider to get the best drop. In the bottom right, it will say you do need to pull your glider early. You can't just dive and have it auto pull for you. But if we were to have a closer bus like this and you press calculate, you can dive straight down onto the point. It's an instant jump out of the bus. You will have the best drop every single time. Every single pro in Fortnite is using a drop calculator. While it may seem confusing, all it is a little bit of math. Each of these green circles you see is other places where you could drop, and it shows you how fast you would get to the ground. Like take for example this one. You will reach the ground from when you jump in 28 seconds. But this green marker being the fastest drop, you will reach in 26 seconds. Even though it's only a difference between 0.03 seconds, it is the most important thing when it comes to off spawn fights. But now let me show you guys how to make a drop map. All you guys have to do is go over to fortnite.gg. The link to this website will also be in the description. All you guys have to do is know one mark of where you have to deploy your glider to get the best drop, and for me, I know it's right here. From there, all you guys have to do is zoom in to exactly where you want to land, go up to the top right, press the pencil, and go to draw a rectangle. You want to put a rectangle over exactly where you're trying to land. For me, it's this chest right here. From there, all you guys want to do is go to draw a circle, put the circle in the middle of the rectangle, click and drag out to the marker. And from there, as long as it's flat terrain, the same terrain of your original mark, you will have a perfect glide every time. So I know this rock right here next to the tennis courts is the exact same terrain as the other mark. So that's a perfect drop. If you guys don't know a perfect drop for your POI, wherever you're landing, all you guys got to do is queue up solos and try out a bunch of drops until you can find one that's perfect for exactly where you're trying to land. And then from there, you can keep putting marks where it's the same terrain. Since there's 2 mountains right here, I know if I land in the middle of the mountains, I'll get lower and be able to have a better glide. So I'm going to move the marker forward. Roads is the perfect place to have your drop maps because they're always the same flat terrain. So see, I put the marker right on the edge because it is the same terrain as everything else. At Outpost Enclave, this is where the capture point is. It's a big divot in there, and I'm guessing if you dive straight into that, you will have a good low drop, the same as diving in between 2 mountains. Since this is on the edge of the map, you're diving into the water, I bet you this will be a good drop. And since this is a big pond right here with a big drop off from the mountain, you can dive pretty far into it. I bet you this would be a really good low drop. Same with over here, you're gliding into the water. I bet you that this would be a good drop. And since we have pretty much every side covered other than up here on the top right, let's fill that in. It's in between two mountains, so I would push it in from the edge of the circle a little bit. And there's this trail right here that I have the other mark on, which I'm pretty positive is a good drop. So I'm just gonna put another one on the trail. Well, actually it does drop down. This is a hill and this is where it drops. You could dive pretty low here, so I think I'm gonna put a point there. And if we take away the circle, you can see that this drop map looks pretty similar to the other one. If we look at the marks that I marked using one perfect drop and common knowledge of how landing works everywhere else, it looks pretty similar to the one I paid $10 for. And the only way to find out if this is perfect is by repetition and trying it out. But after you have your drop map made, let's go to the 3 biggest advantages you can have in an off-spawn fight. Starting us off, we have loot. If you have more loot than your opponent, you are more than likely to win the fight. But to guarantee the win, you need the 2 other advantages. The second advantage being materials. Even if your opponent has more loot than you and you have more materials, you can play more passive, leading to them making a mistake and you taking advantage of it. But the most important advantage, leading us to our last one, the third advantage, is height. If your opponent has more loot than you, if your opponent has more materials than you, but you have height, you control the fight. You can choose what timings you go to take a shot. But while you're choosing where to drop, keep those advantages in mind: loot, materials, and height. If you can guarantee yourself 2 of those 3 advantages, you will win 99% of the time. Something a lot of players struggle with is choosing what marks to drop at. We want something that would line up with us jumping out of the bus and where we're trying to land, which is right here. And with that, I'm probably going to choose the mark that we put by the rock. While you're on the bus, you want to constantly be looking at where you want to land. Over here. So I'm looking over there while staying in line with the marker, and when I'm perfectly in line with the marker, I jump. Look at this angle I'm gliding at. I'm gliding at a perfect angle where if I go too high, I lose momentum, but I don't go too low to where I go down faster. This is the perfect angle to be gliding at. I'm looking directly at my map the whole time to see as I'm getting closer to the marker, and as I get closer to the marker, I start to lower my angle a little bit so I can go down farther. And when I'm perfectly above it, I pull my glider. And like I said before, we're aiming for that chest, and as we glide in, I believe this is a perfect drop. And just like that, perfect drop, get the gun, can kill anybody out of the air if anyone was landing on me. The most important thing for your drop is your gliding angle. Make sure you're looking up high enough to where you aren't diving and losing your elevation fast. You want to look perfectly high enough to where you aren't losing your momentum, but you're also not losing your elevation. That will let you glide farther and more efficient to where you don't have to pull your glider just to reach your mark. As soon as you land off spawn, you want to try to be getting as much loot as you possibly can. Personally, after I have a shotgun and maybe a secondary and some shield, I start focusing on materials, because I know even if the person has more loot than me, if I have the material advantage, I will win 9 times out of 10. But once you have loot and once you have materials, then you can use your materials to give yourself the height advantage if it's a pretty flat POI that you're landing at. And from there, I either look for an opening or just pressure them until they give me an opening. With 2026 being duos, the best way to fight off spawn in duos is to 2v1 single out one of your opponents. While you might want to cover more ground and split up as a duo, that just gives the opponent an opportunity to 2v1 one of you. So let's now look at some pro examples of them using their advantages and 2v1ing the other team when they split up. Here we have Peterbot and Pollo off spawn. They just landed and Pollo already has 20 builds, Peterbot with 14. And while Peterbot's more focused on out-looting his opponent, Pollo is more focused on out-materialing his opponent. He uses these materials to give himself a height advantage because he knows that this team has no loot because Pete has been rapping and taking all of their loot. And if we look at these guys, yes, they may have a lot of shield, but they have no ammo and they both only have 6 builds. Not only that, but they are split up and they are about to get 2v1 like we said earlier. Pollo here uses his materials to give himself a height advantage, and as the other guy goes up, he hits him for 46, and as soon as he knows that he cannot apply pressure because he's off his screen, he blocks it off. Can't see him, he's trying to wrap, he blocks it off, and the reason he does that is because Pete is fighting the other guy, so he uses his hammer AR to apply pressure, make sure all angles are blocked off, so he has a 2v1 on that guy. And with Pollo applying pressure from his right, he leaves his left open, and Peterbot has free angles on him to get a kill. And off of his teammate dying, his duo tries to make something happen, but he's mantling exactly on Pollo because Pollo has the height advantage, all because he started with the material advantage. And off of his mantle, he hits him 30, and he has him exactly where he wants him to finish out this fight. Has him full box, he has to spray through it. Peterbot's starting to come over because Pollo's calling him back. Toyo hits him 77. Guy's probably weak. Pete just cleans it up. And that all started with the material advantage that gave him the height advantage that let them single out that one guy, which made his duo get aggressive, leading to that off-spawn victory. Now let's look at another example. We look here at Visuals and Braids. They are known not to be the best fighters in the region, but they're using the advantages I talked about earlier to win every off-spawn fight to the point where the big pros don't even contest them. So after he gets Visuals up here, they go and heal. And while Visuals heals, Braids looks to put pressure on these two that just traded res. And after they see him, they build a bunch of boxes, and Braids tries to go from the backside, making sure he cannot get boxed, making sure he cannot get 2v1'd. And as Raven goes to edit on him, Braids plays very defensive and waits for Visuals to come flank in the fight. And while Visuals applies pressure, Braids goes and heals, and they just take turns applying pressure to make sure that this team cannot heal after they just rezzed. And because of the mat advantage and the loot advantage and the fact they have a 2v1 here, this player Raven feels like he's pressured to make a play for him and his duo to save their game. But since Visuals and Braids have every advantage compared to them, he only has 2 builds, he has no shield, his duo has 5 builds, doesn't even have a shotgun. Since they have every advantage, he has to make a play, and since they're at a 2v1, he just kills them. And since Raven died, that means Raven's duo is at a 2v1 now, and it is unlosable for Visuals and Braids even though they are not the best fighters. Last example here comes from Blake and Zen. They were actually contested off spawn against TK and Higher. And while they are splitting the POI, Blake is making sure he is constantly farming materials so he can take that advantage and have height in the fight. And while he's rapping, trying to get another look, he is constantly farming, making sure he keeps the materials up. He's going for a flank. He's farming materials, getting his wood, but as he is rapping and getting materials, Zen is getting jumped on. He doesn't even know it. They are flanking him while Blake is trying to flank them. As soon as Zen gets shot at here, he calms for Blake to come over, and Blake comes over with 300 materials. I guarantee you he has the most in this fight. 26 on TK, 17 on Higher. And while Zen doesn't have the most materials, he stalls them as much as he can, knowing Blake has the most materials in this fight. He's taking these little peeks, making sure he can't take much damage in return, just trying to stall, trying to do whatever he can until Blake can get there with all the materials. And while Blake is coming to help, he's using his materials to take the high ground in the fight so he can fight on his timing. He uses those materials to get above Higher, and while that's going on, he goes to double TK with Zen, but Zen calms that he has him, he's about to die in a second, and with that calm, Blake puts his focus on Higher, making sure he cannot leave this fight because he has more builds than him. He should have the advantage, and he does have the advantage. And off of that, he hits him 90, full boxes him. At the same time, Zen gets his kill, and Blake gets his, all because he has the materials, the advantage, and they outlooted them. If you are landing at a POI that's very bad on materials and off spawn fights like Kappa Factory, make sure you use the kills you get in the 50-50 or the early kills you get before the main fight as your advantages. Each kill gives you 15 builds, siphon mats, 50 wood, 50 brick, 50 metal. That is an instant advantage over your enemies. That's why it's so important to look for 2v1s. Not only if you get one 2v1 and you win it, you'll have another one, but in that first 2v1 off that kill, you immediately have an advantage over his teammate. Not only because his teammate is solo, but because of the siphon mats, the loot, everything that you might have missed out on in advantages, you make up in that one 2v1 that you win. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys subscribe and make sure you comment if this helped you guys. If you want to go the extra mile, use code CODSFN in the Fortnite item shop. Like I said before, this is my first part in my new series, Path to Pro. We're going over off spawn like we did in this video. We'll go over mid game, end game, how to fight on high ping. Anything else you guys want to see in this series, make sure you guys comment it down below and I'll make sure to do it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but until next time, see you guys later.